Welcome to the Loud and Local Cleveland podcast, here to bring you the raw, unfiltered pulse of Cleveland's music scene. The one and only Outlaw Jeff James. Join us as we dive deep into the latest bands, hottest tracks, and the stories behind the music that makes this city rock.
Welcome to the November episode of Loud and Local. Hello, Ohio. Today I have Joe Tagliovani.
Hi.
Tags. We also have Jim Belanger.
Hello.
In the studio with me, talking rock and roll in Cleveland. Also on today's show, we have Dwayne Farley from AMG Film Division. We're celebrating WMMS 100.7 FM, the Buzzard's 50th anniversary, and a look at how it all started. And in the Breaking Spines news, we have shout-outs, the bands, the mayhem in Cleveland. We have a music video from James War from Greenleaf Entertainment. We're going to take a look at the music of the Black Roses, featuring the late Kevin Bogdanawicz, the vocals of Nico Pico Train, and we're going to get right to it. All right, degenerates, here's an interview we did with Dwayne Farley from AMG during our Halloween segment. Well, you know, one part of Loud and Local is I always like to tell my listeners what it's like to be in the music business and the film business. And best part is asking you directly. So I want our listeners to take a walk in your shoes. What's a typical day for the vice president of AMG?
A typical day, we usually start at 10 o'clock. It's like a 10 till 6 day. We have meetings. We're always reviewing new talent, promoting and marketing, and distributing our clients' releases on the music side. We are a music-centric company first, as you know, or if you don't know, Mark Berry, the founder of the company, is a multi-platinum producer with over 36 gold and platinum plaques throughout his career. He's worked with everyone from Billy Idol, Flesh for Fantasy, Duane, El Presidente, Kool and the Gang, Fresh. Those are some of my favorites, and the list goes on.
Very cool.
So we deal with that. We have our label services division, has a partnership with a division of Sony Music. So that keeps us pretty busy. Also on the publishing side, where we look for sync opportunities and other licensing opportunities for our catalog. We have a 50-50 joint venture with BMG. We dabbled into film 2 years ago, and it's been pretty cool. As you know, we have Bloodline Killer, which is out currently on Tubi, which we executive produced, as well as The Sacrifice Game, which is on Shudder.
Very cool.
We also have Fun Girl on Tubi as well.
Yeah, I saw that. Did that just come out, or is that a new release?
It just came out, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. That's very cool. Well, part of your job there, creative development, collaboration, are key components in marketing, advertising, PR on the film. Is that all handled in-house, or is that farmed out to other agencies?
Usually it's farmed out to other agencies through our distributor, who after they provide an MG, which is a minimum guarantee for distribution on their platforms, their marketing and promotion arm takes care of that. Okay. We do have some input on it, but normally it's handled by the distributor.
You know, one thing I was looking up how vice presidents with film companies do things, and I was telling Jim about it, is that, and I assume it's the same for you, you're in a position where you have to be in contact with everybody. So it comes down the line, it comes down to Mark tells you what needs to be done, correct? And then you have to basically set up networks with all these agencies and have constant communication. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Luckily for our company, Mark is very deeply connected in both music and film. So, for instance, if we have a song the director says, we need this song in the movie, we really want it. I'll give you a story about that. There's a movie with Josh Duane and Mel Gibson called Bandit. It's about a guy who robbed 59 banks in a row in Canada. If he stopped at 58, maybe he wouldn't have to go to jail. But there's a scene in the film where they wanted to use Burton Cummings' song, Our Own Way to Rock. They couldn't get in touch with Burton or his management. Mark worked with Burton previously on a live album, and we were able to get that song cleared in less than 2 days.
Wow. So you're the point man on a lot of this stuff, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I figured that was, I did a lot of research into what the vice president does, and man, you're very busy, aren't you?
Yep, very, very busy. Having Sacrifice Game and Bloodline Killer, we've been getting a lot of horror films coming to us, or thrillers, that we are reviewing now, trying to get them into development, hopefully into production next year. There's one film called Last Ride, which stars Taye Diggs, that we're working on currently, trying to get that up and running. And that's another thriller.
But that's what I loved about this Halloween show, is that all these spooky movies that you guys have coming out.
Oh,
it's very cool.
I never knew the horror genre before this was that big. I'm not to age myself, but the first horror film I saw was like Werewolf in London.
That was actually a really cool movie.
Yeah, it was really cool. And
all right.
Sometimes, you sit there and you're like, I can't really believe this, that we're doing this. So, like, for instance, The Sacrifice Game, which was distributed through Shudder, despite coming out in December 23, it was named the third best independent horror streaming film of 2023 by The Hollywood Reporter. And that one is pretty cool because it's like a Christmas horror movie.
Yeah, I love those ones. It's like the happiest time of year with bloodshed.
Yeah.
Right? Well,
yeah.
I watched Bloodline Killer, and I was surprised to find out that it was based on a true story. The music in that movie was scored by, let me get this correct, Nima Fakarara and Charlie's son. And the music is very intense. It's very thrilling. Now, do you also work with the music on the films? And the second part of that question is, does the score get written for the movie for Bloodline Killer? Is the score written before the movie? Or is the movie parts sent to the composers and they view it and then put the music to it? That's the one thing that me and Jim went round and round on. We were like, when does the music get written?
Well, okay, so on Sacrifice Game, Mark and I were music supervisors. So I can take you through that process where we received certain briefs from the director saying they need music for a certain scene, and they describe the tone and mood that they want. With Bloodline Killer, traditionally the music is composed after everything has been shot. So they get sent scenes where they can see the visual, and the composer produces the music or composes the music based on the mood of the scene.
That's how I thought it was done. Yeah, me and Jim had talked about, I remember Stuart Copeland did a score for a movie, and I remember seeing some film on it where he was in like a studio and they had this huge screen and they were showing the movie, and he was sitting there composing the music to the scenes, and that's kind of how I thought it was done. That's very cool. Now,
glad you know that Stuart Copeland is one of my favorite drummers, right?
No, I didn't know that, but he's a fantastic drummer.
Yeah.
We were talking about his music the other day and how crisp and the drums are in his music and everything. And, yeah, and when he started doing composing for films, I was like, I wonder how this is done, you know? And here's another question that I didn't ask you, send to you, but now you guys had the opportunity to be the producers of the music on that movie. Do you guys also then go through your catalog of all your different artists and be like, this is a really good scene for this band or this artist? Do you guys do that as well?
Yes, we do. We submit, for any brief that we receive for a scene, we submit at least 10 songs. That's us going through our catalog and picking some of our clients' music, as well as going outside of the catalog to see what else is out there that might fit the right mood of the film.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic for musicians and even local artists to have that opportunity to get into a movie. That's really cool. All right, well, what is next for AMG in the spooky movie realm?
Sure. Well, in the spooky movie realm, we have some projects in development right now. Can't really call their names right now for you, but it's more of like a haunted house type of feel.
Oh, cool.
Because we think we may be able to have a haunted house franchise. You know, it's pretty simple. It's a one location shoot. So we can actually buy a house and then renovate it based off of what we want, and then continue
that's
the
awesome.
franchise.
That's really cool. I love that idea. That is super cool. All right, well, I want to thank you so much, Dwayne Farley from AMG. He's the vice president, works on all the films over there. I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. Happy Halloween, and continued success to you. And I look forward to interviewing you again. I think we need to talk even more about films and get really into depth and detail.
I'll be available for you anytime.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And all right, degenerates out there, get out there and watch the movie Bloodline Killer. And thank you so much for joining us.
Don't forget Sacrifice Game.
And Sacrifice Game. It's the haunted season. It's spooky time, so let's get out there and watch these movies. Let's jump right into our shout-outs, all right? So these shout-outs are some rep in the city, okay? I do this for every show. I want to give thanks to all the people that I talk to throughout the week, throughout the month, and the people that, have impressed me and stuff like that. So we're going to get right into it. So shout-outs go out to Bruce Bundy, Devin Gorman from the band Devin 7, Shooters for the Summer Hospitality, Joel Gaddis from Greenleaf Entertainment, Jacob Otino from Kenya, Africa, who watched this show religiously, okay? Victoria Di Matteo, she's the ex-guitar player from Saints of Lorraine. She has something cool happening in June of next year called Punk for Pause. That's going to be happening at Buzzbin in Akron. Michael Grigas from Incredible Keepsakes for all of our merch help. He does all the merchandise for Loud and Local. We'll also be doing the merch for Outlaw Radio coming out soon. Randy Starr Dumas, Trashman Dean, Ludwig Drummer, Johnny Rocker, Lisa Gannon, Janine Spring, Cody Simo of Air MC, and Walt Gideon. I want to thank all those guys for all their comments, their views, and just all their support. It's been fantastic. So I want to jump right into it, okay? Me and Jim have been going out quite a bit, right? We see a lot of bands. So World Zen, Third Monkey, Devin 7, Smarty Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah? Joe, as everybody knows, and maybe not everybody out there knows this, was the keyboard player / guitar player / vocals for the band Smarty Jones for a while, weren't you?
I was never really the guitar player, but we were starting to do that when I decided to leave. But yeah, I was.
Yeah. Well, you showed them some of your songs that you wrote on guitar, right?
I tried to.
Yeah, tried to. Smarty Jones is a good band. We've seen them play.
Well, yeah, Tim Ginley's a talented drummer. Dave Lewicki's a killer guitar player, plays Santana perfectly. Even Bob Stokes, good bass player.
Yeah. And Jim's familiar with Tim Ginley because Tim Ginley's played drums on Jim's tracks. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
We go way back to like 1980.
The dinosaur era.
Knockoff songs.
You said the dinosaur area. How do you feel
close.
about that?
Jurassic for sure.
Yeah. I'll say this, though, because I was hanging out with Jim and Shooters. We went to see Sugar Magnolia. Jim knows all those guys.
Oh, yeah, Damon E-Rock and all that.
It was cool because that's the beginning of rock and roll in Cleveland. That's the 70s and 80s of the beginning of the real rock and roll that's kicked everything off.
Very cool.
So, talking about Smarty Jones, we went and saw them play. How do you feel about chimes in music?
I have no opinion about chimes music. There's a time and place for it, I suppose. Depends on what kind of break you're trying to do.
Right. I noticed that Smarty Jones uses a lot of chimes in their music.
Chimes are bells.
And bells, too, and a bunch of other different percussion. I believe I counted 17 chimes in the first set.
In one set, yeah.
In one set. I said to Jim, I go, that was 17 different chimes.
I never really thought about it that much until you brought it up, and then now that you brought it up, it's like in my head.
You can't get past it. Well, because we go out and we see these cover bands because we're doing the top 10 cover bands in Cleveland. We've been working on it, so the show isn't really us sitting there and banging our head and enjoying the show. It's us like analyzing everything.
That's kind of how I listen to music. I can never just listen to a song and go, "Oh, this is really good. I'm enjoying this." It's always like, no, what's the guitar doing? What are the keys doing? What are the bass doing? Like, how's the drums fitting into all?
How do they all play together? Do they all sound cohesive?
How's the mixing? Does it sound like it's like cohesive, or does it sound like garbage? I mean, I can never just enjoy music without.
There's been a few times that we've seen bands. I'd be like, it's like they're all playing a different song.
Yeah, that is so true. Unfortunately,
right? That's happened quite a few times.
Yes, it's really something. You're looking at them going, wait a minute, are there 4 different songs?
Yeah, you're like, what the fuck is going on right now?
It's such a pleasure to go hear a band that really everybody could play in time and everybody has a good feel and a good touch.
Well, the weird thing is when cover bands sound like they're all playing a few different songs at the same time, because it's like, dudes, the parts are written for you. You don't have to try it as hard. I mean, you do have to try as hard to learn the part, but you also have to realize it's already there for you. You don't have to sit there and make something up on the fly. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll also say this. If you're a cover band and you can't cover the song, then you're called a rendition band.
Interesting. I didn't know there was a technical term.
So if you can't cover the band song perfectly, and then you have to alter that song because maybe you're not, I hate to say it, a strong musician, then you become a rendition band. Which is nothing wrong with rendition bands because it's your take on their song.
I almost prefer a rendition.
Oh, heck yeah, it's easier. And
it's not just easier.
It sound like anybody really. I mean, I do my best. But
it's also like, would I do like Def Leppard exactly how Def Leppard did it? That would be cool for maybe one time, but I would never make a career out of it. It would bore the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, well, they've already done it. I mean, they do it. It's that thing. You know what I mean?
That's the thing about being a band like that.
But who am I as a musician? I'd rather be myself as a musician, go up there and say what I want to say, using the vessel of other people's songs. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm working with Freddie Jackson right now on our little group, Freddie Jackson and the Bedlam Boys. We'll plug there.
Go check them out.
Go check us out. We have a gig at Backstage. Oh, well, actually, not right now. Not well, this is being recorded, but
Tonight,
yeah.
Which is in the future.
In the future at some point, I'm sure.
Or in the past, I should say.
And we take all these, songs that we do and we, strip them down. We just do like bass, drums, acoustic guitar, and keys, which is mainly me on piano for the most of the part. Sometimes we don't have bass or drums. It's just Freddie and I and keys and guitar, and we end it there, and things sound good. I'm really happy with it, and I think Freddie is too. But I like it better because we're making these songs our own, and we're not just like spewing out the originals and going
copying it.
Yeah.
And I'll also say this: when we go out, this is my biggest pet peeve for seeing cover bands. I fucking hate hearing Mary Jane's Last Dance. Every freaking band does that. Although I saw Third Monkey at Front Street, they did Mary Jane's Last Dance, and the guitar player played harmonica. That was the best version of that song that I've heard in probably the past 2 years in Cleveland.
I think I'm getting to the point where Tom Petty is a no-go for me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A little bit too much, dude, I think, too.
Yeah, you do one Tom Petty song at most, not that one, by the way.
Yeah.
There's also a million Tom Petty bangers that you don't have to go to Mary Jane's Last Dance for.
There's so many
Why
good
did
songs
they
by
do
Tom
that?
Petty.
Well, it's because everybody wants to play the freaking harmonica part. So
And it's one of the easiest songs you can play lead guitar to. It's one of the
It's
easiest.
so easy.
Such easy
But there are
chord
better,
changes.
easier songs by
Yeah.
Tom Petty, actually, that are so much better, not overplayed, kind of slept on a little bit.
Breakdown, would you like to?
I like
That's a
Do
good
you?
song.
That's a great song.
Isn't that his first song, I think?
And
on it?
is that?
Huge.
Well, I had said to Jim, because we were talking about cover bands, I'm like, where's the Rush? Where's the Peter Frampton? And Jim looked at me and he goes, Jeff, nobody can fucking play those parts.
Nobody can play Rush. It's so hard.
Nobody can play Peter Frampton's lead guitar with the talk box.
Unless you have a talk box.
Yeah, but nobody can really do it note for notes, and that's why we have renditions.
You know, we over at Front Street Social, we me and Freddie did a show. Freddie made a band in like 2 months, with a whole bunch of people and like a 30-song set, and we did a Peter Frampton song. You know, the one with the talk box. So
Yeah.
I can't think
How
of
do you
right.
feel?
Was it?
Do you
No.
feel?
Awesome.
Do you feel like I do?
Yeah.
Do you feel like I do?
I can't remember what song we actually did. I think it was Peter Frampton, but there was a talk box part, and Freddie just got into the mic because we didn't have a talk box. He just got into the mic and started singing the part because we didn't have a talk box. So
Did he
what
try
else-
to pretend to be a talk box?
Yeah,
That's
it
great.
was awesome. It was brilliant, and we had a lot of fun with it. But yeah, I like when I just don't like Tom Petty anymore. I think at Mary Jane's Last Dance is way overplayed.
So, Tim Ginley, I apologize, but talking about Smarty Jones, it got me and Jim talking because we were talking about chimes, started getting us talking about cymbals, right? And then I was like, Jim's like, how the hell do you practice cymbals?
Why even practice? You know, like Barney and the
The marching bands,
know?
right?
Well, you and I have talked about this a number of times where,
Shed some light on this because
sure, in an orchestra,
they're not cymbalists.
in an orchestra, you're not just playing the cymbals, you're playing percussion. Like you're going to play the woodblock,
Cowbell, too?
play cowbell, chimes, woodblock, all
Triangle.
the triangle, timpani, all the things. Your job is basically, if there's any kind of percussion, you're doing it. And if it's even crazy, they may have two percussionists because some songs need that. I mean, like that Christmas song that everybody knows, the
Right.
da-da, you know,
That's
that
fantastic.
Yeah.
So when you go to a symphony concert, right, he's got like his own section,
Yeah.
right? And he's got a shit ton of instruments. It's
Basic-
probably at the end of it, he's probably like trying to search for stuff, right? But it's probably very organized.
Oh, I'm sure it's hard. I mean, those guys practice more than you think.
So when they go to college,
The cymbal guy is also the woodblock guy,
Right.
and the percussion guy, and the chimes guy, and the timpani guy, and he just does all the things. Like
right.
everybody else is playing one instrument, but that guy in the back is doing his best. Like he's going at it hard. Good for him.
See, in my mind, there's just one guy, and he's standing by himself, and he's got the thing,
is.
and then he's just doing the chimes like this throughout the song. Just one dude doing chimes. Then you have another guy in the corner with the cymbals.
Well,
But no, it's one dude that does everything.
Well, I
Right.
mean, that one guy that's a good mindset for marching bands. There's a guy doing, well, actually, there's a whole cymbal section, and they all
Yeah.
did it at the same time because nothing is mic'd out there.
And even though we are a rock and roll show, we are talking about cymbals in the symphony. And yeah, that's
I
funny.
mean, rock and roll is very much based off of symphonic music, though.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's, we can't really talk about one without the other. I mean, I guess you could, but like, whatever.
So Jim, yeah, they do go to college and they get a degree in percussion.
Yeah.
They're not
Not just the simple.
not just the cymbals.
Yeah, 'cause-
But yeah, how do you practice cymbals? I see this guy in his bedroom with the symphony music playing, just crashing the cymbals together. It probably leads to a lot of divorces.
And a lot of like noise complaints from the neighbors.
The police are always at the house like, come on, man, it's like 2 a.m. and you're smashing the hell out of those cymbals like people are trying to sleep.
I bet you people get those calls sometimes.
Oh man, that's funny. So yeah, cymbalists are not just cymbalists that play chimes, they're percussionists.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you for shedding light on that for us.
I mean, Tim Ginley's a percussionist for sure.
Yeah,
He doesn't
exactly.
just play drums, he plays everything, and he even has those little, like...
Triggered congos
The
and
trigger... Yeah, he's got triggers that...
passion.
Yeah, like, basically help him put out stuff. But he also, like, if you've gone down in his basement ever, if you know him, and you go into his back room, there's just, like, this whole room full of percussion instruments. And it's not just drums, it's like congas and bongos and triangles and chimes and...
He does the drums and the percussion at the same time, and there's really no other drummer that I know of in Cleveland that has the setup he does.
I know we made fun of Tim Ginley a little bit, but this conversation would have never happened about percussion and cymbals had it not been for going to see him perform and then doing the chimes.
Look, Tim Ginley's a talented drummer. He's really, really quite good.
Well, we saw him at Sugar Magnolia, and the band left the stage. It was him and Tim Lane, and they just played this tribal thing for like, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes that just
He was the drummer.
brought the house down,
He
right?
was the drummer for Wish You Were Here. And
Yeah.
like, Nick Mason's parts are not easy.
Yeah.
Because they're so like fluid and experimental and well, like it's all very based off of like fluid thought along with the songs. You know what I mean? Pink Floyd isn't just like here are the chords. Like, no, how do we transpose the idea of like a fluid thought from one space to the next in your mind, replicated through music? And like that's how his drumming is. And then if Tim Ginley can do that, power to him, dude. That's
that's
easy.
cool.
That's not easy stuff.
Well, one thing I want to bring up before we jump to our Breaking Spines news, and not a lot of people know this, I don't even think Jim knows this about you, but you scored a music soundtrack, and you got paid big money for it.
I did.
Tell, just briefly, just give us a rundown of how that happened.
Sure. So it started, weirdly enough, it started a career day. Back in high school, there was this guy named Matthew Zaleski who came in and talked about making movies. And I was just, you know, noodling, I guess, on the piano that they had in the auditorium. And I was just playing. He was like, I like what you're playing. Then him and I got to talking. And then years down the road, we actually started scoring the thing, and a bunch of tracks got done. And it was like, I recorded some of it at my place. I recorded some of it at his place. I recorded some of it in college in the dorm room building. And it was a weird experience because you had people studying around us and everything. And like, it was just a wild time. And I recorded piano parts and I recorded guitar parts on things, and, you know, using MIDI as well as like real instrumentation from time to time. Like, it was quite extensive, and I will say percussion is the one thing I can't write. I just hate it.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of work to sit there and like record and write parts for like a horn section and a string section, and like there was one point where we were adding real electric bass in it.
Now, did they come to you for the soundtrack, or did you record this soundtrack and then submit it to them? How'd that come about?
It was a back and forth.
Yeah.
I was talking with Matt a lot back and forth. Like, it wasn't just like I was doing it alone and then he approved everything. It was like, no, him and I would have an idea. I'd sit there and I'd do it. I'd send it to him and he'd be like, not quite. And then we'd just go back and forth, and it was like a conversation of sorts versus
That's
just
cool.
me going in a room and writing the thing on my own like a little psychopath. You know, so yeah, it was just a lot of work. I got paid some money for it. I enjoyed the whole thing. Had a lot of fun. I think he's making another movie now. I don't remember what it's called, but dude.
Well, I also heard a rumor about you that you're going to be in California next year.
Yeah, I'm planning.
If you could touch on that a little
I
bit.
would gladly touch on that. I'm supposed to be working with a guy named Sturzy, who I went to high school with. His name is Quinn Potter, but his stage name is Sturzy. And his friend Molly, who has a band called Girly Teeth Club. Go check out both of those careers. But I'm going to California for a while. I guess I'm helping him produce an album or whatever.
Nice.
And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited. He also had the idea that we should get into a cabin and just write music and record a whole album front to back in that cabin for like 10 days and then leave and then put it out. And so that's
excellent.
something I think we're also going to do. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to kickstart a music career over in California, maybe. I mean, who knows where it's going to take me, but
Who knows?
I'm just doing it because, like, Quinn has always been a really good friend of mine. He's one of my closest friends of all time. And he's also super talented, amazing singer, great lyricist. Dude knows how to write songs. And yeah, I just have faith in his career. Also, Girly Teeth Club, when I heard their EP that just got released, I don't remember what it's called, but it's good.
Cool.
And I was like, this band I also have faith in, so I'm going to be working with both of them. And I just got to talking to Quinn. I was like, I would record the heck out of this. And he was like, why don't you come out there? And we just kind of spitballed the idea. And then I was like, you know what? Why don't we just make it official? I'm going to come out there next summer and do something with this. So that's happening.
That's excellent. And hopefully, that goes really well. And after that experience, I'll have you come back on the show and we'll talk about your time in LA.
To talk about it. I think it's going to be great.
Life in the fast lane.
Got life in the fast lane. Dude, I'm going to go eat at the Rainbow Bar and Grill as a bucket list item. I mean, got to.
You got to go to Whiskey A Go-Go. You have to go to Johnny Depp's place.
The
Vapor Room.
The first Guitar Center.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. Well, I lived in LA for, I was telling Jim the other day, I lived in Redondo Beach for like 3 or 4 summers.
You lived
from
in
when
LA?
I was, from I think 14 years old until like 17.
Okay, Jeff.
I lived in LA during the late 80s, like 86, and that was the big boom of metal. And when you would go to Hollywood or you would go to buy Whiskey A Go-Go, you saw bands like Motley Crue walking around. I see Motley Crue. I've seen Poison. I've seen those guys just on the streets. I've seen them at music stores, the whole bit.
Because they all lived in like hotels. And
yeah, they all just lived in the same area. They all lived together, and
some of them lived in their cars. I mean, that's what Duff McKagan did while he was down there.
I wish I would have been more about music at that time, because I would have made my mom and dad take me to Whiskey A Go-Go and stuff like that. I mean, that would have been so cool.
Yeah, you would have loved
And that was like, I think Motley Crue's first show was there. Oh yeah.
Brilliant.
LA's very cool. It's where all the beautiful people are. You'll have a great time.
Do you have any recommendations as to what the first spot is to hit? The very first spot I go to.
So many. I mean, Hollywood.
It is Hollywood.
Hollywood, it has to be probably the Walk of Fame or Shame, I guess. But
the Walk of Fame.
yeah.
Sherlock Boulevard would be a good place to go. I hear it's changed though quite a bit because the
Monica Drive
stuff.
I saw Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when I was in California walking with his son. His legs and arms were so long. I was just like in awe. I was like, oh my God, that's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But yeah, you see all types of famous people when you're there.
Just walking about.
Just walking around.
Doing things.
Yeah. So yeah, that's going to be very cool. We'll bring you back on the show after you come back from LA. And earlier on the show today, you slept through it, but we interviewed Dwayne Farley from AMG.
I didn't know I was supposed to be here at 9 a.m.
It's all good, bro. But yeah, we interviewed Dwayne Farley, and he's the vice president of AMG, handles the films, and we talked about soundtracks and stuff like that. So that's why I wanted to ask you about it a little bit.
You know, being a film scorist is such a beautiful experience because you basically are given this thing that you have to finish through music, and it's like the emotion is already written for you. You just got to write the part to match the emotion.
Yeah, he basically said that they send over the video footage of the stuff, and then you're just matching the music's emotion to the emotion of what's happening on screen.
And on top of that, you also have to time things.
Yeah.
Pretty spot on. Like, that doesn't... It's not easy to do because if there's, like, a big epic, like... I don't know, like, there was a scene in the movie that I wrote where there was just, like, a gunshot and I, like, had to, music do all this stuff. I used a lot of reverse tracks, like reverse ear-ringing and stuff, and sound effects in my stuff, because that's what I do. But
I know you did on my album.
I did do that, didn't I? I forgot.
It's like, we need a reverse right here before it goes into the chorus. And I was like,
because
it's
cool. Awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome.
Reverse stuff is always cool, but yeah, you gotta line that stuff up with what's happening with the film.
Yeah, so that's Joe Tagliovani's tag right there.
Yeah,
the reverse.
Not just reverse stuff, sound effects. That is my tag.
Well, you heard it from Joe.
your smile, tempt me for a little while. You better take a ride. Maybe it was something that you said, spinning round in my head. You better take a ride. And all the messages you sent, and all the love you meant, you better take a ride. Maybe it was something in your smile. You better take a ride. Maybe it was something in your smile. You better take a ride with me. It's the way you touch my hand, I don't understand. You better take a ride. And if you ever need to cry, I'll be by your side. You better take a ride. Maybe it was something in your smile. You better take a ride. Maybe it was something in your smile. You better take a ride with me.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to jump into the Breaking Spines news for all you filthy animals out there. Today we're celebrating WMMS 50 years in Cleveland rock and roll history. All right, so I'm going to give you guys just a, not brief, it's going to be a little bit of information, but brief, and then if you guys really enjoy this, they have a whole website up, they have a podcast that I'll talk about later, and you could check out everything about MMS. But I did some investigating into MMS. So WMMS 100.7 FM is a commercial radio station licensed to Cleveland, Ohio, serving greater Cleveland and much of the surrounding areas of Northeast Ohio. And I know you guys are very familiar with MMS, especially you, Jim. Widely regarded as one of the most influential rock stations in America throughout its history, the station has also drawn controversy for unusually aggressive tactics, both on and off the air, which gave me a lot of great ideas. Owned by iHeart Media and Broadcasting, a mix of active rock and hot talk, WMMS is currently the flagship station for Rover's Morning Glory, the FM flagship for the Cavaliers, Audioverse, the Cleveland Guardians Radio Network, the Cleveland affiliate for the House of Hair with Dee Snider, and the home of radio personality Alan Cox. And as Alan Cox says, you need a little Cox in your life, right? So created in 1974 in April, the iconic twist on Cleveland's down-and-out reputation as a decaying Rust Belt city, the station's longtime promotional mascot has been born, the Buzzard, a cartoon character in 1981. Radio and records identified the malevolent feathered figure as the best-known station symbol in the country. That's true, isn't it? Everybody knows the Buzzard.
Yeah.
You say the Buzzard, everybody knows it's WMMS. WMMS played a key role in breaking several major acts in the U.S., including David Bowie, Rush, and Bruce Springsteen. The Coffee Break Concert. I was told earlier that that's how Bruce Springsteen broke in Cleveland. Did you know that?
I never heard that.
Yeah.
I've never heard that. That's neat as hell.
My friends, Ross South and Marty Schleckman, they were on the very first coffee break hour show on WMMS. I forget when that was, but that goes back.
I bet you that their podcast has old footage of all the old stuff, and they probably on the podcast put that stuff up for everybody to see. Should look into that and see if they actually have the footage from that.
I'll have to ask Marty. Ross has left us, unfortunately, but
Nope.
Marty's still around.
You know what? When was that done?
Mid-70s, maybe?
Oh, so that had to be the
Something
old
like that.
video camcorders, right? With the weird streaking in the thing.
They were in the studio. Maybe it was just audio. Maybe they didn't even
Yeah,
do a video.
could've been just audio.
I wonder if he knows.
All right, well, since they did break several major acts, like I said, David Bowie, Rush, and Bruce Springsteen, many of the station employees went on to take over director and executive level positions in the recording industry, namely with labels RCA, Mercury, and Columbia. Considered a true radio legend, WMMS DJ Kid Leo was chosen for Rolling Stone's Heavy 100, the high and mighty of the music industry. And that was in Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone named WMS Best Radio Station 9 straight years in a row, from 1979 to 1987, the year I graduated. The magazine's annual readers poll, station admitted to stuffing the 1987 ballot box following a February 1988 front page story in the Plain Dealer exposing manipulation. 7 years later, members of the station's staff and management pleaded guilty to disrupting a national broadcast of the Howard Stern Show that originated via the local Stern affiliate. Their crosstown rival WNCX, they're in the same office. They basically just went across and they cut all the wires. So Howard Stern couldn't do his show.
I
Right?
remember that.
And they got busted for
Really?
the ballot box, stuffing the ballot box so that they could
That
win.
was embarrassing.
It's freaking great.
Cleveland was not good.
It seems like such a high school thing to do, doesn't it?
I always laugh because people are like, will say stuff about my reputation. And I'll be like, man, I never did any of that shit. That's freaking great.
People get away with God knows what.
He leaves the door wide open for shenanigans, right? Oh, that's really funny. So yeah, they disrupted the national broadcast of the Howard Stern Show, the affiliate, crosstown rival, as I said, a federal offense. The act nearly cost WMMS its broadcasting license. Did you know that?
That's something.
The Wrath of the Buzzard is a new podcast. It examines the impact of the legendary radio station WMMS, and they go into detail about the Howard Stern thing, and they talk about the ballot box. They talk about all the stuff that happened through MMS, right? So when it comes to Northeast Ohio's music history and the rise of rock and roll as a mainstream radio platform in the 1970s, the impact of WMMS 100.7 The Buzzard is immeasurable. It's amazing what they have done. They have broke so many bands. They did the coffee break concerts. They've done promotional things. I mean, they're everywhere. And they are, I think, one of the oldest radio stations in Cleveland. And that station goes way back years and years and years. It's always been that station. Then they changed in 74.
I did a novelty song with Marty and Ross, the Ballad of Jeffrey Dahmer, and they actually played that.
That's cool.
Times. Yeah.
So yeah, we're celebrating the 50 year of the Buzzard. That's our Breaking Spines news, you filthy animals. And I wanted to thank both you guys for joining me for the November show today. We're leading out today's show with a song by the Black Roses, which is called Bleed Me Out. And that's with Nico Pico Train and the late Kevin Bogdanawicz. And we are loud and local, you degenerates. You have a great day.
Bye.